There's a power within you that has likely been misunderstood, a force you may have misused, and a gift that, when redirected, holds the potential to completely transform your life. I'm talking about sexual energy, and more specifically, sexual transmutation, a principle introduced by one of the greatest minds in the history of personal development, Napoleon Hill. When Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich, he wasn't merely creating a book about money. He was documenting the psychological blueprint of the most successful men in the world, 500 of them over 25 years, including industry titans, inventors, presidents, and artists. Among all the principles he taught, desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, there was one that made many readers stop in their tracks: the mystery of sexual transmutation. Hill called sex the most powerful of human desires, and he was right. No other force can drive a man to conquer, create, pursue, or even destroy like the energy of sexual desire. But here's what he discovered. Those who master this energy and redirect it, those who transmute it, access a level of genius and ambition unreachable for the undisciplined man. So, what exactly is sexual transmutation? And how does it connect with profound psychological concepts like Freud's sublimation? Let's dive in. Sexual energy, at its core, is creative energy. At its most primal level, it is literally the power to generate life. When that power isn't used for physical reproduction, it doesn't disappear. It stays in your body, your mind, your nervous system. If you do nothing with it, it ferments into frustration. But if you focus it, it turns into rocket fuel for extraordinary achievement. 1. Napoleon Hill and the power of sexual transmutation. To transmute means to transform the form or nature of something. In this case, sexual energy. Hill described it as a process of channeling this energy away from physical expression and into the creation of wealth, art, innovation, genius, and legacy. He wrote, "Sexual desire is not merely physical. It is emotional, spiritual, and mental. When well directed, it can be transmuted into a powerful force capable of elevating someone to great heights of achievement." Hill never said to repress your sexuality or to run from it. He said to redirect it, to channel it, to use it as fuel for your mission. Modern science confirms this. Elevated testosterone levels, when not wasted, increase drive, positive aggression, focus, and willpower. You become more alert, more hungry for growth, more intense. But here's the key. This only works if you redirect that energy towards something greater than yourself. Otherwise, you remain stuck in lust and self-gratification. Hill's observations of great men in Think and Grow Rich reveal something profound. The highest achieving men were those with highly developed sexual natures, men who had learned the art of transmuting their sexual energy into creative and productive outlets. He cited examples like Napoleon Bonaparte, who channeled his passion into war and empire building, George Washington, known for his intense discipline and loyalty, Thomas Edison, whose relentless invention process Hill attributed to sublimated sexual energy, and Abraham Lincoln, who, according to Hill, had an intense sexual nature but directed his inner fire toward justice, vision, and purpose. In all these cases, these men were not free from sexual desire. They simply refused to be ruled by it. Let's be direct. Most men today are ruled by lust. Porn addiction is rampant. Instant gratification has become the norm, and discipline has become a joke. And we still wonder why so many men feel depressed, distracted, and empty. Napoleon Hill warned us, most men never learn to control their sexual impulses. When guided by that desire, they lose control of reason and act on impulse. He wasn't condemning sex. He was elevating it. He was saying, if you let this force run wild, it will destroy your life. But if you train it, tame it, transmute it, it becomes the engine of your destiny. Number 2, Sigmund Freud and the alchemy of sublimation. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, gave this transformation a name, sublimation. Let's begin at the core. In Freud's psychoanalytic theory, human behavior is driven by unconscious desires, primarily the sexual drive or libido. For Freud, libido wasn't just about physical sex. It was life energy, a fundamental force behind our motivation, behaviors, and emotional patterns. However, society doesn't allow us to express this energy in its rawest form. If every human being acted on every impulse of lust, aggression, or domination, we would sink into chaos. So, What happens to all that repressed desire? Freud's answer: it doesn't disappear. It is redirected, channeled into socially accepted and often highly productive forms. This process is what Freud called sublimation, the transformation of raw, primitive, instinctual energy into refined and elevated expression, such as art, science, leadership, innovation, or spirituality. In other words, sublimation is converting desire into discipline, lust into legacy, impulse into impact. Number 3, sublimation versus suppression. The essential difference. This is where many go wrong. To sublimate is not to suppress. Suppression is pushing desire down, hiding it, pretending it doesn't exist. But like a shaken and sealed soda bottle, repressed energy builds pressure and eventually explodes in destructive ways, through addictions, rage, or emotional breakdowns. Sublimation, on the other hand, is conscious redirection. It's about recognizing desire, accepting its presence, and guiding it toward a higher purpose. Picture a man with aggressive impulses who becomes a soldier, a boxer, or a firefighter, or a woman with intense erotic energy who becomes a dancer, a fashion designer, or an actress. A young man obsessed with control might become a CEO or a systems engineer. A teenager consumed by sexual desire might start painting, writing poetry, composing music, or building a business, transforming what Freud called a sexual instinct into creative mastery. Sublimation isn't about moralizing or shame. It's about turning your inner chaos into a staircase to greatness. Freud believed that sublimation wasn't just an individual phenomenon. To him, it was a foundation of all civilization. In his work Civilization and its Discontents, he wrote, "Without sublimation, culture could not exist. Without the transformation of raw energy into elevated expression, there would be no symphonies, no cities, no literature, no science. Everything we call civilization, every great work, invention, system, and structure was born from the same primal force, channeled, refined, and transmuted. Think of the great artists, inventors, and thinkers of history. Michelangelo, pouring his intensity into sacred art. Nikola Tesla, celibate for most of his life, channeling his energy to invent the future. Ludwig van Beethoven, deaf and isolated, yet still composing symphonies of overwhelming emotional power. And Freud himself, whose relentless exploration of the human mind forever changed how we understand ourselves. These were not men without passion. They were men who transcended passion, mastering and directing it towards something greater than themselves. Number 4, practicing sexual transmutation and sublimation in modern life, a practical guide. In today's culture of hyperindulgence, we're taught, if you feel it, do it. Follow your impulses, do what gives pleasure. And yet, we've never seen so many anxious, depressed, and empty people. Why? Because a life driven by unchecked desire leads to emptiness, but a life of sublimated desire leads to meaning. Freud warned, when a society removes the pressure to sublimate, it regresses. Creativity dies, discipline evaporates, genius fades. We're drowning in dopamine, endlessly scrolling, addicted to distractions, numbing our primal energy instead of forging into power. The goal of life is not to kill desire, it's to elevate it. Here's how to make it practical. How to start turning this energy into something magnificent. 1. Semen retention, building the pressure. This doesn't mean permanent abstinence. It means stopping the casual waste of energy. Every time you release without purpose, you lower your vitality, your focus, your testosterone, and your willpower. Try 30 days without pornography. Try 30 days of intentional discipline. Notice how your mind sharpens, how your body feels more alive, how your hunger for achievement grows. That pressure within you is your fuel. 2. Redirect the energy. Conscious channeling when desire rises. Don't suppress it. Redirect it. Use that wave of energy to work harder on your business. Train with more intensity. Study, build, create, plan, speak boldly, walk with confidence, and lead with vision, not with temptation. As Napoleon Hill wrote, a man who has developed the art of transmuting sexual energy will find that this energy becomes a fuel for all of his accomplishments. 3. Choose a higher purpose. The container's sexual energy needs a container. Without a mission, it will be wasted in indulgence. You have to give it direction. Ask yourself daily, What am I building that's greater than my next release? If your answer is vague, you'll remain trapped in the cycle of temporary pleasure and permanent regret. But if you're building something, a business, a brand, a legacy, then every act of discipline becomes sacred. For delayed gratification, strengthening psychological muscle, Freud believed that sublimation was only possible if a person could delay reward. Train yourself to wait, to sit with the urge without giving in, to not scratch every emotional or physical itch. This strengthens your psychological muscle, and from that depth is born creativity and sustained effort. 5. Create channeling rituals. Daily practice. Have a sacred morning routine that directs your energy upward. It could be a power hour with journaling, deep reading, silent reflection, studying a complex topic, or working on your project before even touching your phone. Each ritual becomes a valve through which your energy rises instead of being lost. 6. Elevate your environment. External support. Surround yourself with symbols, art, music, and people who remind you of your higher nature. Sublimation is harder in environments that normalize instant pleasure. But when you live in a culture of elevation, you rise with it. Environments build or destroy mental states. Choose yours wisely. To every man and woman hearing this, you are not weak for feeling desire. You are not shameful for seeking intimacy. You are powerful because you carry the most sacred force in the universe. But power without direction leads to destruction. Sexual transmutation and sublimation are not just techniques. They are philosophies, lifestyles, sacred choices to use your God-given energy to build, not waste, to lead, not lose yourself, to create a legacy, not merely release tension. Napoleon Hill left a map. Freud revealed the alchemy. But walking the path? That's up to you. There's a hidden fire within you, a silent yet fierce power, an ancient force that has shaped human history and now lies dormant, waiting for direction. You can waste that fire on distractions, addictions, and instant gratification, or you can forge it into light, into creation, into purpose. The modern world, with its screens, its noise, its constant stimulation and shortcuts, wants to make you a servant of impulse. It wants you to surrender, to react. But the seeker does not react. The seeker chooses. The seeker disciplines. Sexual transmutation and sublimation are paths to true power, not the power to control others, but the power to master yourself. And that is the rarest and most respectable power anyone can attain. You were made for more than addictions, more than empty pleasure and constant regret. You were made to build, to leave a legacy, to turn your instinct into impact, your desire into destiny, your energy into eternity. So I ask you, will you master the fire or will it master you? The disciplined seeker does not fear desire. He embraces it, he channels it, and with it, he lights the world. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Thanks for watching.